Hello, my name is Erin and I am based upstairs in the Union in the LSTV office. And this evening I will be interviewing some of the members of the current exec at LUU. So make sure you stick around and look out for that. Back to you in Pyramid. Oh yeah. Can you hear the live show in your ear?
She was saying something about not hearing anything.
The only person I was able to
No.
Yeah, so now it's time for our first debate of the evening, and this is a very important one. It's for Education Officer. We've got two candidates here this evening, Bethan Corner and Aaron Davidson. We're going to start with opening statements, first of all, from Bethan.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm Bethan Corner, and I am the current education officer here at LUU, and I'm rerunning because I've got so much left to give. And I'm really proud of the things that I've been working on this year, and mitigation circumstances, assessment, making clearer communications, and most importantly, I'm really proud of the 24-hour library that we finally got through. And LeadLUU Library is now open 24 hours, 7 days a week, which is really exciting. A bit about me, I graduated last summer in Theatre and Performance with Enterprise. I loved my degree, I loved my school, I was school rep the whole time I was there, as well as course rep, and I loved it. I had the best time. I was also involved in societies, such as Open Theatre, and this year I've tried my best to get involved as much as possible as well, and coming along to see as many things as possible. So yeah, that's me.
Great, and now the opening statement from Aaron.
Hi, I'm Aaron. I'm currently doing a master's in writing for performance and digital media. I am loving my time here at Leeds, and I feel like there is just so much I can give. I really want to try and push for immediate action on diversity in our curriculum and engagement with students. I really want to try and make support for academics more accessible, as well as push for more sustainable resources in our education, as well as how sustainability is taught. I'm currently a course rep, but I feel like there's just so much more I can give.
That's great. Thank you very much. So we've got 5 questions for our candidates tonight, and we're going to start with this one. So it's, which educational resources should the university prioritise investment in? So this could include literature, subject-specific computer software, materials for practical sessions, anything that could contribute to a course. And we're going to start with you, Bethan.
Yeah, so I think the university is actually really proactively investing in literature. The university library can actually access nearly all resources as possible, as long as they're asked for as far in advance. So students can access as many pieces of literature as they want. So I really do appreciate the importance that the university have put under literature. But I really think that the next step is in the spaces. I think some of the spaces around the university are quite dated. And considering some of the courses and our expectations as a university of what we provide, some of the spaces such as workshop spaces and labs and things like that could really be updated and are made a lot more accessible. Yeah, so yeah, I think that's my answer.
Great. And now the same question to you, Aaron.
Yeah, I think the increase in prevalence of practice-led research at university is something that we can really push for, and I think investing in subject-specific software could be a really good step in doing that, similar to what the School of Performance and Cultural Industries is doing with their investment in digital technologies. I think if we do this, it can really help in making Leeds, the lead in practice-led innovation and really set Leeds graduates apart.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, so the next question is, many study spaces around campus are often overcrowded or noisy. How can this best be alleviated? We'll start with you, Bethan.
Yeah, so I think that with the addition of 24-hour library, I think that will be benefited. That I think it will open that option for a lot of students who might not be in their typical 9-to-5 schedule, and will be able to kind of access the library whenever it feels best for them. I also think that within here at LUU, our newest update has opened up a lot more spaces, and we're seeing top floor of corridor and room 2 a lot busier than it ever has been, because we've and things like that have really been able to like prioritize that space for working, as well as group working and everything like that. I think it's really important that we look at the have and how accessible they are. In terms of balcony, I think a balcony could be used so much more.
15 seconds.
It's a great space that we can use all the time, and just the new updates would be great, as well as the PGR space, which could be really cool to give to everyone, basically.
Thank you very much. And what about you, Aaron?
I think it would be a good opportunity to use some display graph technology, specifically in library-focused study spaces, because you need to tap in, tap out in order to enter and exit the library. So I would wonder if there is a way to access that information to see if there was a way to monitor when spaces are busiest. So then students will be able to see this information, then work around their schedule to see when would best suit them. I know there are some gyms that are already using this sort of technology, so I'd wonder if that was something we could access in the university as well.
Great. So the third question is, how do you feel about the support offered for students struggling with their degree, and what more could be done? We'll start with you, Bethan.
Yeah, this is a big one. I think there can always be more done. I think it's a never-ending list. I think prioritising mental health, prioritising accessibility is kind of an ongoing and constant list of something that we can all do better. We can all do better in diversity. We can all do better in prioritisation. And that expectation needs to be put on all of us. It's kind of all of our responsibility to look after every student here at Leeds. We quite often say that we need to act more like a university that humanises everyone. It's something that I've worked really hard on this year. And I really think that that kind of is representative in the work that we need to be doing here, and how everyone is important and how each student needs to be kind of equated into the equation of accessing resources, accessing support,
10
anything like
seconds.
that, that could be really benefited, really. Yeah.
Yeah, great. And now your answer, Aaron?
Much like you said, it's a very complicated issue. And I think in current events, I think it has really showed some areas where support could be improved. I think there could be a more improvement on how schools respond to students seeking support. See if there was any option to put in protocols that can be put in place for areas where students seem to be struggling more and more. And I think the last few years have really highlighted that importance.
Yeah, that's great. So now we've got some questions contributed by our audience. The first one, a very important one at the moment. Unfortunately, the contributor is not here. It's a question from Vincent from Student Staff Solidarity. And the question is, what are the candidates' views on strike action? And we're going to start with you again, Bethan.
Yeah, another big one. The impact that students have experienced is huge. I fully support everything that the staff feel, and it's not fair how people are treated, and it's not fair the expectations put onto staff at all. There needs to be an expectation of fairness across the whole university and trust across the whole university that everyone, again, is a human. Everyone is to be expected to give everything they can, but fairly. It's important that everyone is paid fairly. It's important that PGRs are considered as staff and are treated as staff in their priorities because they
15
are.
seconds.
So yeah, fully support any action to strike. We need to encourage student education priorities. Yeah.
Yeah. And what are your views, Aaron?
Likewise, I will always support people who are advocating for positive change. And I think those people should be supported. Like Bethan said, we're all human, and I think people can forget that sometimes. But I do think that I don't think it should be understated the impact it's having on students. And even though there are students that are there actively supporting the strikes too, and I think that's great, but there also needs to be a strong voice there to support them and to help them from feeling lost and unsupported.
Yeah. And the final question I think we have in our audience, Noah from JSOC. Yeah. We're just going to get a microphone to the question.
How do the candidates plan on making campus a less hostile environment for Jewish students regarding anti-Semitism following the recent NUS report?
Yeah, so for those who didn't catch it, that question was, how do our candidates plan on making campus a less hostile environment for Jewish students regarding anti-Semitism following the NUS report? And we're going to start with you, Bethan.
So this year we've really prioritised it as a group of an exec to really make sure that the campus is as welcoming to everyone on campus as possible. We've really welcomed the report, and we think it really respects where things went wrong. In terms of kind of next steps, I'd be really interested in kind of continuing the relationship that we have with everyone, and kind of making sure that everyone is welcome to use our spaces, to communicate with us. We have that honest, open conversation after the report has come out, and to ensure that nothing goes behind anyone, and we all are open with each other, and it means that we can tackle things kind of head on, and just be open and honest with each other, and have those conversations that need to happen in order for everyone
10
to learn.
seconds. Yeah,
Thank
great.
you.
And finally, from Aaron.
I think in terms of what steps we can take to go forwards, that we really need to emphasise the importance of engaging with the Jewish community here at Leeds, to hear firsthand experiences that will help inform decisions on what we can do to move forward and make campus and hopefully the wider community a more accepting place. It's not enough to just show that we are supportive. We need to be active allies to these communities, especially the Jewish community, with what has recently come to light. We need to show explicitly that hate will not be tolerated, and that any hate will be responded to swiftly and appropriately.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much. So finally, we're going to hear some closing statements from our two candidates. Firstly, from Bethan Corner.
Thank you very much. It's just been really great to be here to chat tonight. Everything that I stand for is on my Instagram, on my manifesto. You'll see everything around campus, hopefully. It's Bethan Corner in your corner is the slogan. And I just want to recap something that I think I said last year that
Got 15 seconds.
I really think I need to prioritize, is that education never came easy to me. Education is really difficult, and that's what we need to prioritize. The fact that it isn't difficult it isn't easy for everyone.
2, 1. Great, and now the closing statement from Aaron Davidson.
It's been so great being here tonight. You can find me on Instagram at Aaron for Education. I really want to focus on making an education that works for you. Thank you again for having me. You can find all my information on my candidate statements and my Instagram page. Thank you.
Thank you very much for both candidates. It's been a great debate, and we're now going to go to a short break, just a few minutes, and when we come back, we're going to have an interview with Emily, our current wellbeing officer. Thank you very much.
Hello and welcome back to the LSTV office, and here I am joined by the current Wellbeing Officer, Emily. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for coming.
No, thank you for having me.
Okay, so to begin with, obviously you're on the current exec. Could you please give us a brief overview of kind of what your role consists of whilst highlighting your key responsibilities around the union LUU itself?
God, it's a lot. I mean, as Wellbeing Officer, the remit's quite broad. We kind of have the opportunity to touch on anything related to like student safety, welfare, and kind of just generally keeping people happy at university, I like to think. Some of my main priority areas this year have been around harm reduction when it comes to drug use. We've made some really good progress on that, which is really exciting. Preventative measures around sexual assault and harassment on campus and also in the Leeds area in general. I've had a really good opportunity to work with like the council and other partners on that. And obviously the cost of living crisis this year has come into pretty much every meeting and every conversation that we've had, looking at like cost of education as well as like the day-to-day cost of being on campus.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful. So obviously we're well into the second semester now. I think we're on like week 4 and midterm assignments are coming up. And I can imagine that a lot of students, especially in Leeds at the minute, are very, very stressed and trying to juggle a lot of things at the same time. What aspect do you think of their well-being they really need to focus on in this stressful time? What would you count as the most important aspect? I know that's a difficult question.
I think one of the most important things to remember is that it's completely normal, and that as much as, I know we say this all the time, but as much as it feels like you're the only one going through it, everyone around you is having to juggle similar things, maybe not quite the same. And we know some of our students have more responsibilities than others for like personal reasons. So just kind of taking a step back and I think being able to like categorise those stresses, I was found to be one of the most helpful things. I think making time for yourself as well, which can feel impossible sometimes because, you know, some students have part-time work and then like the deadlines just keep mounting. But I think finding time to do things that are just for you, like I dance, for example, which I absolutely love. And sometimes it can feel like a struggle trying to get myself to go there. But I think once I've had that sort of hour to like step away from my phone, step away from the laptop, it feels so much better. So. Yeah.
So would you say exercise being in particular probably the most important way that a student can look after their well-being and getting out and enjoying the fresh air?
I mean, definitely that. I think stepping away from a desk for a start and going outside, getting some sunlight, even though there isn't tons of it at the minute, is definitely a good start. But yeah, exercise, or if you're into arts and crafts, you're into writing, whatever it is that kind of takes you away for a minute, then you should be making time for that.
And almost allows your brain to switch off from university life just for a second.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. Now, obviously you've been on the LUU exec for the past year, and I can imagine you've done a lot in that time. What has been the best part of being on LUU exec?
It's been a packed 7 months, I think. There's so much, but I think the thing that I always come back to is getting to meet and work with student groups directly, because I just think that like here at Leeds especially, we're so lucky, our students are amazing. I wish that I had as much sort of motivation and like bravery in a lot of cases as the students that I worked with when I was a student, even though I still am a student, that's a whole other issue. Yeah, and like getting to work with the student groups that are doing so much, like LSTV, for example, like the amount of content you guys produce is crazy. I think just getting to like sharing that enthusiasm a little bit has been one of the most rewarding experiences.
Could you sum it up in one word for us?
The whole year?
Yeah.
Intense.
But
in a good way.
I get that.
Yeah, like so kind of overwhelming, but in a, I don't know, I get so much out of it, enjoy it so much that it kind of becomes my life at times, but I don't think I'd want it any other way, so.
That's brilliant. Now, finally, if you could give any advice to the current candidates that are running this evening, what would that advice be?
Just do your best and try and enjoy it a little bit, which having been through it before and going through it again, I know it can feel impossible at times, but when you look back on these 2 weeks, you just want to be proud of what you did. It's a banging thing for the CV, gotta say. But like meet the other candidates, chat with them, chat with other students, because you don't really get the opportunity to walk up to a group of people and be like, hi, very often. So make the most of that and enjoy that.
It is a great networking experience.
sure.
It definitely is. No,
It makes new friends.
Exactly. No, thank you very much for your time this
Thank you for having
evening.
me.
Thank you. And back to you in Pyramid.
Hello and good evening. My name is Katie Neal from Leeds Student Radio, and tonight we'll be starting the second debate of the evening for our wellbeing officers. Tonight we're just going to be introducing straight away our candidates. If we could start off with Lauren.
Hi everyone, I'm Lauren Slater and I'm running for your Wellbeing Officer this year. I'm currently a third year student in liberal arts, majoring in theatre and performance, and I've been welfare rep for Leeds Modern Dance for the past year, in which I've done a lot of collaboration with charities such as Beat and Copperfield, and I've wanted to kind of expand that responsibility and that work out to a wider audience and a wider responsibility to ensure that every student is happy and healthy in Leeds.
Amazing, thank you. If we can hand over now to Hannah.
Hi everyone, I'm Hannah Catterall. I'm also running for Wellbeing, same as Lauren. I'm a third year philosophy student. I'm also a course rep this year. Some of the main societies I've done this year are freestyle dance, yoga society, but my favorite is Leeds Student Television, who's running the amazing live stream for you right now. I think the thing I'm proudest of that I've done this year with LSTV would definitely be my collaboration with UniBoob. That was a collaboration where we made content on how to check your chest, which I think is really important. I also co-host a show with LSR called Safe Space, which is all about mental health. And again, same as Lauren, I sort of just want to expand my outreach.
And finally, passing over to Carol.
Hi everyone, my name's Carol Huntley. I am a mature student, commuter student, alternative entry. I'm sort of disabled as well. I have been school rep for 2 years. I was part of the Mature Student Advisory Board and various other things, a learning champion, going out into the community and sort of encouraging other mature students to come into higher education. I think for me, it's all about representation and making sure that everybody's voices is heard. And then, that's particularly for me, and just making sure that, everybody's helped and supported.
Amazing, thank you so much. So we're going to be working through a few questions this evening. We're going to start off. As a student union, what do you think is working well and what needs further improvement in respect to student wellbeing? We're going to start off with Lauren.
As a student union, I feel what is working well at the moment is the increase in wellbeing societies, such as I know there's Sasha and there's quite a few on sustainability. And I think as well, the introduction to welfare reps into societies as well has been a really important addition to ensure that people are being looked after on a smaller scale to then be directed out into a larger scale. As well as this, I think there's been a lot of good planting of resources available and support available. I just think what needs to be improved is the communication of these resources, as I feel like a lot of the time they are just kind of put in the bottom of an email and not really communicated very well, and a lot of people don't know what is available for them to access. And I think as well there needs to be more training in regards to people in welfare positions who are representing kind of the well-being for the whole uni and kind of working with students on a smaller scale.
Great, thank you. What about you, Hannah? What do you think?
I think some things that are working really well at the moment. I think what stands out to me most would be the sexual health and menstrual products that are planted throughout the university. There's some in LUU help and support, and there's also some next to the exec office. And I think that that's a really important initiative that has gone on this year, and it needs to continue. It needs to be uni-wide. And again, as Lauren was saying, I think that welfare reps is an incredibly important thing because it means that students can speak to someone on their level who have the same interests as them, are in the same societies as them, and are experiencing life in a similar way. I just think that there needs to be comprehensive training for those welfare reps so that they are sort of like a wealth of information,
10 more seconds.
and that students speaking to them know exactly where to go to.
Great, and finally on to Carol.
Could you repeat the question for me,
Of
please?
course. So as a student union, what do you think is working well and what needs further improvement in respect to student wellbeing?
I think from my perspective, and I'm definitely coming at a different perspective than the other two, is for a lot of mature students, the union doesn't necessarily represent them, and it's hard to say what really works well for that. Obviously through, the thing that's really working well is there's increased communications through the newsletters and stuff like that. But I think moving forward, more can be done about listening from those diverse voices and not just maybe one single sector of student voice. Again, it's going to be a lot about mature students, but hearing from those different students, you can get those voices and then work collaboratively in fixing things.
Amazing, thank you so much. Our second question this evening is, this academic year has seen an increase in the number of societies introducing welfare officers to their committees, as we have just briefly touched upon. So why do you think it's important that these welfare officers are recruited, and what more could the union do to support them?
Am I starting?
Over to you, Lauren, of course.
Thank you. Well, as a welfare rep myself for Leeds Modern Dance, I feel like I have quite a personal experience of this role. And I think it's really important, like we've just touched upon, to have someone on your level that really relates to you and can relate to your experience, is also a student, also has the same hobbies as you, because I think it makes you more approachable as someone to open up to. Like, I know personally that people have felt more comfortable coming to me than they would do in the bigger support services in the university. So I think it's really important to have someone on your level that really understands your experience, and it's important to have someone as a step in between the higher services in the higher education and between you as a student, because I feel like that step up can then direct you to the larger resources and services available. I think in terms of what needs to be improved and supported is, like we said, training. I think more mental health training, and also kind of their awareness of the resources available so that they are able to signpost people to the right place.
Thank you so much. Over to you now, Hannah.
I think obviously, as much as a lot of societies have introduced it this year, there are still some societies that are lacking. And I think it's really important that they are a part of the committee elections every year, so that people have a chance to voice who they think would be best for their society and their needs. And I do think that there needs to be comprehensive training, compulsory training, because I think sometimes welfare reps can sort of just be there to be there. And as I said before, they need to be a wealth of information. They need to be on the ground level and be able to communicate all this information to students. Because I think the support available between the union and the university and the NHS and Leeds as a city, they're all very polarized from each other. And they need to be unified so that students have a range of places they can go for help.
Amazing, thank you. And finally, on to Carol.
I think I echo what the other two say as well. I think first and foremost, you've got to remember people that are welfare officers are volunteers. They are giving up their time to do that. And, that's got to be hard for them coming in and listening to other people's problems. And how do they deal with that? There's got to be boundaries. And this is where the comprehensive training comes in. If you can teach these welfare officers to be able to support themselves, but also support others, then that's vital. And I think it's incredibly important. Although I don't necessarily have much experience with clubs and societies, not being a part of one, I think that can only be a good thing moving forwards. It gives people a central point of contact. It gives somebody to be a mediator if there's any issues and things like that. So, it's an important and vital role, but centrally we've got to remember they are volunteers. And they take this stuff home. And it's just looking after everybody. It's being a welfare officer.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I believe we have a question from the audience now. Abby from Home Ed, if she's around. If we could get a microphone to her, that would be great. Thank you.
Okay. Hi. I'm Abby. I'm from Home Ed. We're a volunteering society that addresses homelessness in the local area. And so in that vein, our question is, how do you envision LUU being a socially responsible organisation and community partner as part of Leeds in the coming year?
Thank you so much, Abby. Just to repeat the question for you guys, Abby asked, how do you envision LUU being a socially responsible organisation and community partner as part of Leeds in the coming year? If we could go to Lauren first.
I think what is really important is awareness and communication. I think a lot of the time there's a lot of charities working in the community that people aren't aware of. And I think it is kind of having that voice in the union to spread it to students who can get involved and actively get involved. And also kind of pitching our own kind of campaigns and work that we can do in the university that spreads out to these charities and ensuring that people are aware of this. I think as well as this, there is obviously fundraising events that you could hold and events that people can attend. And I think as well, it is about the university taking responsibility for addressing issues that people don't necessarily speak about and that are quite taboo. And in doing that, obviously increasing awareness of people that are working towards this. And having societies as well that are kind of working towards these issues as well, so that people are actively working towards them.
Thank you so much. And on to Hannah now.
Would you mind repeating the question?
Of course. So, how do you envision LUU being a socially responsible organisation and community partner as part of Leeds in the coming year?
Well, I think through my experience with the media societies, and especially after COVID and as we move quite digital and online, I think that there's a lot that can be done with social media marketing and outreach and almost using the sort of like media societies like the Griffin, LSTV, LSR, just because I love them, but also because outreach to students, and they do have the ability to make content and get out there to people. So I think especially using them as vessels to champion the amazing volunteering societies that we do have, like Homes, is a really good way to sort of get their message out there and make sure that there's more awareness and support for them. Because I think probably where it's lacking is just, lack of marketing, I suppose, and not enough people knowing that they do exist.
Thank you so much, Hannah. And finally, on to Carol.
I think for myself, it's a lot about promoting good collaborative working partnerships. And listen to the people that are directly dealing with this stuff, and from that you can, work on new initiatives that will help everybody, and utilize the clubs and societies that are around that, want to do volunteering and want to help in the community. But I think, the main thing is, the LUU has the Acts for Earth, which is all about sustainability and stuff like that, but I think going forwards, more can definitely be done around sort of mental health initiatives that is both sustainable for the environment, but also for society. It's about fostering that, sense of belonging for everything. So yeah, I'll stick with that one.
Thank you so much for all your answers for all of those questions. Now, just to finish off, we're going to take a closing statement from each of our candidates. Lauren, if you'd like to start us off for the last time.
First of all, just thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. And if any of you feel as though there's any issues that haven't been touched upon or that you'd like to bring up, or you feel as though you're not being represented in what we have just said, then please feel free to message me on Instagram or find me on campus. And I'd be very happy to speak through issues, because at the end of the day, it is about you. I'm representing you, and I'd love to be a representation for you as a wellbeing officer.
Thank you so much, Lauren. Hannah?
Yeah, again, thank you just so much for listening. And to my fellow candidates, it's been really great to have a discussion with you. Yeah, and if there's anything that I haven't been able to touch on, obviously we have limited time here. So feel free to find me on Instagram or in person. I'll probably be dressed as a hippo, or somebody I know will be. So hopefully it'll be pretty easy to find. And I'm always up for a chat, and definitely always up for coffee. So
thank you, Hannah. And Carol?
Yeah, it's quite hard following last. They say everything that I want to say. But, firstly, good luck. And whoever wins is going to be the perfect person for the role. Hopefully, I'm that person. Find me on Instagram and TikTok. Very new to that. But yeah, it's, it is that thing of
5 more seconds.
Working with us. And that's part of the role. We're here to support you.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I just want to say a big thank you to all three of our candidates this evening. We will now be having a short break and followed by an interview with Alba, our current Griffin editor. Thank you so much. Hello and welcome back to the LSTV office. And here I am joined by the current Griffin editor, Alba. How are you?
Hi Erin, I'm good, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for coming.
Of course.
So, to kickstart us off, can you give us a brief overview of your role of Griffin editor, and whilst highlighting some of your key responsibilities within the role?
Yeah, sure. So as Griffin editor, I make sure to edit and put together the student newspaper, which is the Griffin. The Griffin has been running for about 125 years, and it's one of the oldest student publications in the UK. Some of my key responsibilities have been to obviously compile the print issue and read through all the articles, edit them, make sure they're correct, make sure they're also legally correct, make sure they're entertaining, appealing to our audience, all that kind of thing. And obviously wanting to hear feedback about what students want to hear, how we can represent them as best as we can, but also having the Griffin be a society and be social and to be a place where people can make friends, interact, share opinions, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Safe to say you've got quite a big role.
Fair enough.
So with being working inside the union, you obviously have a large number of responsibilities, some of which you've just mentioned. Now, if you had to pinpoint your biggest achievement in the past year, what would that be?
Oh wow, I have to reminisce now on everything that I've done. I think it's hard to pinpoint one, but I think I'm going to go with kind of building up our advertiser base for the Griffin, because I think many people know that print media nowadays is quite in a tough position. But students still want to write and students still have opinions, and I think I'm very passionate about giving them a platform where they can put that forward. And due to COVID, I think the Griffin lost a lot of its advertising money, and with printing becoming more and more expensive, it'll be harder to print. And I think just starting off with little money in the bank account, I think I've built that up, and we've had regular monthly issues coming out. And I think students have been loving it, and I'm hoping that the new editors continue it and even make it better.
That's brilliant. So with being responsible for the output of the Griffin newspaper, you obviously oversee all the stories that get printed and get published. Is the one that kind of sticks out for you as being like the most interesting, or the one that you always love going back to read?
I don't know about a particular story. I think I'd be a bit biased if I said a particular story. But I think one topic that I always come back to, and I think every editor comes back to, is strike and strike actions. I think that there's always someone writing about that, whether it's a news piece or a views piece, and it kind of like comes forward as to what different students are thinking, how students feel about it, whether students support them or not. I think that's quite interesting. I think the new editors will face that topic over and over again as long as there's strike action.
What's been the best part of being Griffin editor this year?
The best part, I think, just right after as I come back from COVID, just being in the office and interacting with everyone in the society and seeing how all of our ideas come into life just by writing, and also seeing how many students are actually very inspired and very willing to write a lot about things that issues that affect us all. I think just writing and seeing it all come together as an issue is very, very rewarding.
Could you sum it up in one word for us? I know that's a big ask.
Exciting. Exciting, definitely exciting.
So obviously we've got a line of candidates this evening that are about to take part in a debate. If you could give them one piece of advice, what would that be?
I think definitely enjoy the campaigning process and voting week. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Make sure to get some rest. But also do a lot, put yourself out there. And I think whether you win or not, it will definitely be one of the things that you will be most proud about yourself.
That's brilliant advice. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And back to you in Pyramid.
Hello, I am Saskia Damio and I am part of the Leeds Student Television Society, and today we are going to be doing a debate for the Griffin editor. So let's start with our opening statements. Owen, would you like to go first?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Saskia. Owen Frost, I'm running to be your Griffin editor. I've been in the society now for 3+ years. It's my 4th year at Leeds, and I've been an arts and culture editor for 3 of those years. I'm currently the online editor, section editor, but I've also done print. The Griffin's been a massive part of my life throughout my whole time at Leeds, and I love the society. I can't wait to show you in the upcoming few weeks about what I've got planned. My big focus is on access, arts, and accountability, so 3 A's, just because it sounded a bit catchy. But access to more services through the Griffin being an organ for students. Arts, from my time as arts editor, I've really enjoyed that, and I want to promote more spaces in the union and across Leeds, because I feel like there's a disconnect between Leeds students and the campus and the community at the moment,
Seconds left.
and accountability holding those at the top to account. So thank you.
And Sinead, would you like to follow?
Hello, I'm Sinead Reardon. I am a fourth year English literature and language student. I've been involved in various things throughout my time in Leeds. I've been a course rep, I've done a touch of LSR, but the only thing I've really stuck to is the Griffin. Like Owen, I've been a section editor for Arts and Culture for 3 years, being a writer previously. Being a reader, a writer, and an editor of the Griffin, I've seen, the good and the bad. I've seen what a strong foundation it has. Its status, it's kind of, the brilliant articles that get written and sent in to us every week, but there's definite room for improvement. And so I'm running my campaign on, a kind of 3-pronged scope for readers, for writers, and for Leeds. And so, in various ways, we interact with the Griffin in that way.
Just 10 seconds.
And that's all from me, I think.
Brilliant. And Ben, would you like to follow that?
Yeah, hi, I'm Ben Forrest. I'm the current Music and Clubs print editor, and I've been doing that for 2 years. Although last year I did also do a bit of online editing, and I was a writer for various sections in my first year before that. And I've also been making my own magazine for the past 6 years, which I've been writing and producing independently. So I'm a keen journalist in that regard, and as a journalism student, and the Griffin has been the definite highlight of my time at Leeds, especially starting in first year in COVID and stuff. It was just the one good part of the university experience, and looking forward to, if being elected, making that a great place for everyone who wants that to be their story as well.
What brilliant candidates we have. So what experiences have you had that make you feel well prepared for the role?
So in terms of my accountability point, I really want to emphasize that I've been on the ground really in terms of student journalism, and I've been at various different events that relate to the Divest movement at the moment. I was at a rally on Friday reporting on that. I've done interviews for student theatre with TG and LS6 Theatre. It's one of the shows that went to Fringe, so I really want to promote more student arts in the paper that way. And I've been part of Leeds 2023, the cultural year this year, big up. And I want to bring more articles out that promote these to students. And I think that's part of what I've done, and I really like that.
That was lovely, Owen. And
Thank
Sinead?
Naturally, my campaign is completely coloured by my personal experience of being at the Griffin, as I just mentioned, the good and the bad. Getting involved personally with stories and seeking out local stories and meeting those characters is an amazing thing I've been able to do. Sorry, the feedback from my own voice there threw me off. I think with that, I think you realize just the potential it has, and the things that you're not able to do, like Ben just mentioned. Going through COVID, you realize now like what it was coming through first year in 2019, COVID hitting, and kind of the Griffin now is at a stagnant point maybe.
10 seconds left.
And I think it can definitely be re-energized. And my personal experience definitely have taught me ways that can be achieved.
Fabulous. And Ben, would you like to follow?
Well, in terms of what I can bring to the role and why I'm a suitable candidate, as I said in my introductory remarks, I've been making and producing my own magazine since I was 15, although it has improved in quality since then. So I know what makes a good story, and I'm on the journalism course, so they kind of prepare you for an editor role anyway, or a journalism role in that. And I think being a music editor or a section editor, as my other two candidates for the past 2 years, it's shown me a lot about, again, the good points, the bad points of the Griffin, and what can be done to improve. Obviously, I don't have the perspective of what it was like pre-COVID, but speaking to previous editors, I know it's certainly not. It's not come back to full force of what it used to be, and I aim to change that.
What lovely answers. I'm loving this one. So how will you connect with the student community to ensure that the Griffin is publishing accurately and representatively?
Oh yeah, I struggle with that word myself. There was a brilliant point raised in the well-being discussion that we had last panel about bringing student services and also wider Leeds student services to to be more available for students. So part of my campaign is to promote more stuff like Yorkshire MESMAC, which is a local community sexual health organisation, but also the brilliant work. And I want to highlight this in the society section. It's a brilliant thing that Albert brought in, and I really want to boost and build more links with societies across, so sports societies, not just political ones, but I do really want to emphasise the brilliant work that people like Sasha are doing, Students Against Sexual Harassment and Assault, and that's really what I want to emphasise.
Lovely. And Sinead?
Yeah, well, there's two elements to that question, accurately and representatively. And I think accurately, the Griffin has been kind of publishing content that has been accurate for a long time. I think that's one of those strong foundations that we have at the paper. The legal team tends to help with that as well. And representatively, my campaign is kind of centered around student engagement, and I don't believe it's going to be one grand gesture to kind of make the paper more representative. It's, you know, a series of everyday little actions. And I think in terms of representation and diversification of voice that you see in the writers group, I think, you know, reaching out directly and networking with representative societies, such as, you know, the Black Feminist Society, I know they've expressed interest. And also, you know, the union has a lot of things going on, such as disability liberation. And I think, you know, going directly to students and getting them to write for us with a kind of...
Beautiful. I'm so sorry. I have to cut you off there. Ben, would you like to start?
Yeah, I think in terms of representation, but also as a wider problem within the Griffin as well, is just attracting people to write for it. You know, being a section editor for music as well, which would you assume is, you know, a quite attractive one to write for. It's been difficult to get writers in. And, you know, in terms of representation, we do a Black Power edition every year, or have done since I've been here. And I think last year, for the music section at least, we didn't have any articles submitted by any persons of colour. So I think attracting more writers in general is a really important thing. And I think to do that, we need to increase awareness of the Griffin, increase collaboration with other societies like LSR and LSTV, as well as the political ones and charities that Owen mentioned. I think that's really important.
Brilliant. So you have all touched on this question slightly, but what new ideas do you think you'll bring to the Griffin? Owen, would you like to start?
So a big part of what I'm thinking, and to quote the well of knowledge that is Dr. Alex from Love Island, I think he was a few seasons ago, he said that we're one of the first generations of students to go through a kind of blighted year. We had the pandemic, and we've had strikes that have impacted our education immensely, and the uni's approach to that has been interesting at times, and I've been at the forefront of foregrounding those students. I want to put more online content out that speaks to these issues, and really hone in on the website. I want to have a portfolio section so that other writers and artists and creatives can really stand out and build a greater portfolio going forward in a world that we live in now that is really, really tough. And yeah, that's what I look forward to doing.
Fantastic. Sinead, would you like to go?
Yeah, my arts and culture heritage is showing its stripes here, but I'm excited about kind of bringing in a zine. I think it would be really fun. I think more visual media in the Griffin and maybe a stronger online presence, as carrying on what Alba has done already as editor this year. I think it's an exciting new venture. You know, students themselves sending in photographs, pictures, poems, who knows? You know, I think it would be a nice addition to Flame. Embers is the name I'm working with at the minute in my head. We'll see if it comes to fruition. But yeah, I think it would be a nice, interactive, student-facing addition to the paper.
Amazing. And Ben?
Well, in terms of the media societies at Leeds, obviously LSTV and LSR, the Griffin's often sort of sidelined a bit, and working at music, excuse me, at the music section, especially at festivals and stuff, it's LSTV and LSR are there working together, and the Griffin's kind of off to one side. So I think, as I said before, collaboration is very important for that, and in terms of attracting new writers, because you can't have a newspaper without new writers. So that's my main focus. But then also the distribution, I feel, has been lacking recently. I mean, the new print edition came out today, and I walked into the union, I couldn't find a single copy. I had to go up to the office. So I think in my flyers, which you may see around soon, talk about setting up a distribution system and a
Sorry,
delivery
just 10
system
seconds
to
left.
local houses and also student accommodations, which I think would be good.
Brilliant. So would you all like to do your closing statements? And Owen, would you like to start?
Sure. Thank you so much, Saskia. I've loved the adjectives. They've been fabulous. And I'm really excited to bring forth to you more content with access, arts, and accountability. A win for Griffin. I try to remember the slogan. A win for Griffin is a win for Leeds. So go and follow me at Owen for Griffin on my Instagram to keep up to date.
Brilliant. And Sinead?
Yeah, I've been Sinead Reardon. Thanks for LSTV for this great debate. It's been a very interesting experience. Unfortunately, I don't have a catchy slogan. It's Vote Sinead Reardon for Griffin Editor. You can find all of my relevant campaign points and the elaborations thereof on my Instagram at Sinead Griffin. But yeah, other than that, thanks a lot. I've enjoyed myself.
And Ben?
Yeah, thanks to LSTV and LSR for putting this on. You can follow my campaign on Instagram at Forest for Griffin, but with a 4 with a number, because it's a bit more street like that. You can also just stop me around campus and have a chat. I'm rarely in a rush. But I think if the debate has showed anything, it's that the Griffin's in great hands next year, whatever the outcome. So thank you.
Thank you so much to all our lovely candidates. We will now be having a short break. I cannot wait to see who wins, but it will be followed by the Equality and Liberation Officer debate.
Hello, I'm Bella Lomas. I'm from Leeds Student Radio, and for the fourth debate of the evening, we will be talking to the candidates for the Equality and Liberation Officer, Harrieti and Ria. So would you like to start with your opening statements?
I'll start. So my name is Harrieti. I graduated in the summer. I did Child and Family Studies with the Lifelong Learning Center. So I started uni when I was in my 40s plus, and so my experience as a mature student at the University of Leeds with the union, it was very different. I found I was well supported within a Lifelong Learning Center. Didn't feel the union was for me because been there, done that kind of thing. You know, age does that to you. And then I became a school rep. And then I thought, like, oh, there's things I could do. And then from being a school rep, I was asked, oh, do you want
15 seconds.
Do you want to be, to run for student exec? And I said yes. And I'm the current Equality and Liberation Officer. I'm running again.
Hello, my name is Cho Ying-Wu, and I go by Ria because no one ever pronounced my name right. And I'm an international student. I'm currently in my final year. I'm doing sociology and international relations. So I did a foundation year prior to my undergraduate study because I'm an international student and I'm also a mature student. So that's why I did the foundation year in social science, which I find it really helpful because like all the teaching staff is very supportive of me and they encouraged me to run for the role of course rep. So I've been course rep for the past 2 years, and since last year I've become the school rep for the schools of sociology and social policy, and it's helping me a lot with like my experience with the unis and in general speaking, because I was also taking part of like a lot of different tasks. So I was part of the partnership award panel, and I was also the student mentor for peer student. And I'm just really excited to be here. Doesn't matter what the outcome is going to be.
Great, well, thanks guys. So the first question to both of you is, due to the high number of international students at the university, what more do you think should be done in order to include them within the British university culture?
Right, I'll answer first. So this question bothers me a bit because it says British university culture. By that, what do you mean by that? Is it the drinking culture, the academic culture? But I guess it means you're talking about how do we, from different nationalities, home students come together and make university what it is for us and what is we want out of it. I think the first thing is to encourage. I think it's having a space like me and Ria, having a space out before we started, which is informal, where we could just speak to each other about anything and everything. I think that has to be a thing that happens everywhere in the university. I think that could be the starting point of international student understanding what it is to be here.
So for me, I would like to say that it's like the same as what you just said, because like sometimes it can be quite daunting when you move into a new country and then just learning about new culture, especially when you're first starting. For me, I think what is really helping me is that I have my student mentor that was guiding me through all the steps, when I start register for the unis and everything. I feel like it is also very important to have an informal space, like the global cafe we have right now. I feel like that is something that actually helped me make a lot of friends during my time in here at the uni and make me feel like I'm not alone in here. There's like a lot of students coming from all different kind of cultural background with their own knowledge that, we can just bounce idea off each other. So I feel like that is something that I find it really helpful with my experience at uni. So I would like to have more events like that, so we can actually have a safe space for all the international students, so we can like discussing ideas, and not just for international students, but also for home students to communicate with you.
Great, thanks guys. So the next question is, are there any spaces on campus where you think accessibility should be better facilitated?
There's quite a lot of spaces on campus that could be more accessible. I think it also, in terms of disability, accessibility, each group will, depending on your disability, you need different consideration. But if you're talking just about wheelchair, a student in wheelchair, so Chemistry West is not great. Stoner is not great. I think even the union itself has got like some work to do about their double doors on the second floor, especially. So that's a start. I think there has to be like a review of accessibility audit of it to be done because it's overdue.
15? Oh, Fab, yeah. And Ria?
So I think there is, like what you say, there is a lot of spaces in our university that can be improved. So I would like to just take one example. So I would just like to take the examples of toilet, which is what I find it very interesting because right now we have a limited like space for gender neutral toilet, and they're sharing the same space as like disability student. So a lot of the time it's like, yeah, whether would you willing to confine yourself into a certain gender when you're not feeling comfortable to it, to just go into the gender neutral toilet would be a way better option for you to feel safer. But at the same time, you have to consider the amount of like disability student we have with wheelchair that actually need this accessibility, but we are like fighting for the same space when there's no need to it. And a lot of the time, a lot of building doesn't have that accessibility. And I would just also say like in classrooms, and it's the same with like people that need to read lips and all that during the pandemic. So there is a lot of things that we can improve, but in general, I would say there is a lot of space for improvement.
Great, thanks guys. The next question is there anything more the university can be doing to help students from all economic backgrounds during the cost of living crisis?
There's one thing they could do. They could introduce a real living wage for all the student staff, and that includes the union as well. I think because if you're talking about all economic background students, we know students have to work, whether that's just to support themselves to do the things they want to do, or it's just to help them get through their studies and not, be poor. So that's the first thing. And the other thing is, I know the university says they've increased the amount they do for their financial assistance fund, but assessing it is still a problem. They've not said whether they put in additional resources as in staff who can do the application to make sure that students are not waiting like weeks to know whether, they're going to get that money or not.
And yeah, so I will agree to what you just say, and I would like to add on to that. And I'm just so currently right now in the schools of sociology and social policy, we have the Wednesday breakfast club, which is like I find it really great. It's not just to save up money for another meal, but it's also like a good place for communication and mingling with people that you didn't know prior to that. And there's also like we have flyers. I think we have an association like that would provide like cheaper cooking materials that you can just actually like contact them and just get it in the actual fair price. Other than that, I would say that we can also introducing like cooking classes for people that like doesn't know how to cook, that actually need to go buy a meal that is very overpricing, like especially with cheaper materials
15.
and ingredients.
Fab, great, thanks guys. And so the next question is, what will you do as Equality and Liberation Officer in order to support minority students?
Right. So this policy that I'm already working on, just to be transparent here, it's about having a liberation space. And that's not just for liberation group, it's for students that does not belong to any society in the union. Because one thing I found was if I wanted to use a room and there's going to be a group of us and there's nowhere else available, going to the union is not an option, because I have to be part of a society to do the room booking. So that's one thing. The other thing is, I think having informal gatherings, like Ria said, Global Cafe, but Liberation, we will call it Liberation Hour, where anybody can come and there'll be ideally free food, just for people to come and talk.
Yeah, so what I will say that is I'm totally agreeing to what you say. And I would also like to say that what I think is really a good thing is to providing the support hours. So like very much like our office hour that we have for Academy, but this one is more tailored to, personal life and, to help with your experience. And I think it's especially for like Black, Asian, and minority ethnic student, this is like a greater challenge because a lot of like people around me, especially like minority student, they often face more obstacle to get here, just to be here. And it's not just with the expenses and all that, but a lot of them have caring responsibility, and where they get here, they actually need to find a community to understand what they're going through, and especially like to build up this student network.
15.
Which is like what I would think the best solution would be, having the support hour and the student network for that.
Okay, great, thank you. And our final question actually comes from Vincent from Student Staff Solidarity. So in the audience, yeah?
What are the candidates' views on tackling institutional transphobia?
Ideally, I would like to have a no platform for people who advocate for legitimate reason for questioning the existence of trans people. Ideally, I think that's not going to happen. I think when things go wrong, the university, the union, anybody should quickly acknowledge that they've made a mistake, be transparent about what they're doing or not doing, and then act as soon as the issue is raised with them, instead of thinking like, oh, we've got procedures in place, we'll follow that. Because sometimes following that procedure is too late for some students, and it's not a great look.
Well, to me, I think that transphobia itself is an issue, because to me, it's not the issue about whether the existence of like trans people is an issue, but it's like everyone have their right. Doesn't matter who they choose to be, or what their orientation, sexual orientation, or how they identify with their gender would be. So I would say that, because one thing that sociology taught me is that gender is a social construct. So that is something that actually wasn't there before, and we created that. So I would say that like we should treat everyone with like the equal term. One thing I think that is really helpful is like sometimes when we go on seminar, that we have like, disclaimer. If you don't feel comfortable with it, you can just leave the room, or, just like we have the introduction section that, you just tell each other.
15.
You just tell each other your pronouns and, what you like to be, called and all that. So I feel like be able to choose that your choosing name and your choosing pronouns is something that is really helpful, and insert that into educational system.
Okay, thank you. Brilliant answers. Thanks to those guys. Now, would you both like to finish with your closing statements?
It's been nice today, actually, talking to people upstairs. Not so keen about this bit here, because it seems like competition. But I just want to say that, whoever you vote for, like Carol said before, either one of us will be great. I just want to say, do not vote for, whatever you do, don't vote for Ron, because he's not a real person. And now, good luck, everyone in the campaigning.
I'm sorry, I need a second back for it. But yeah, I would say it's a really honor to be here and listening. And I'm so glad that my competitor is Ariadne, because she's been a great support to me in this process. And actually everyone is being just being so nice to me, that make me feel welcome, and just be able to have this opportunity is already meaning a lot to me. So I would say be able to sit here and just giving myself a bigger platform and make myself to step forward, and with all the support. And it's just one thing that made me really happy to be able to just sit here and talk to everyone.
Brilliant. Thanks, guys. Well, thank you to both our candidates, Harriet and Ria. We will now be having a short break, followed by the international and postgraduate officer debate.
Hello, and welcome back to the LeadLUU Hustings. I'm Esme, I'm from the Griffin, and we are now having the International and Postgraduate Officer debate. So I just want to introduce my candidates for this evening. We've got Akanksha, Rimsha, Ali, and Oishi. So if you could all do an opening statement, introduce yourself, and let us know what you have to offer.
Hi, I'm Akanksha. I'm doing my MA in International Relations, and I'm a school rep as well as a member of ISAB, which is the International Student Advisory Board at LUU, also run by the postgraduate officer currently. My campaign basically is just about postgraduates and international students, essentially. Just getting to know them. Information hubs, including the cohort of PGRs, PGTAs extensively, because we are a huge community as well, and just welcoming everybody, international students, because it is difficult when we get here first. And
15
so
seconds.
thank you.
Over to you.
Hello, my name is Rimsha Khan. I'm a business analytics and master's student, and I'm running for international postgraduate officer as I'm an international student. So I have experienced personally so many difficulties when I first came here, and I believe that I can personally handle them and make all these students more welcoming and help them out in a personal level. That's about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Over to you, Ali.
Hi, my name is Ali. Study international politics. I have been in this country 7 years now. Maybe a lot of you met me at our wonderful gym at the Edge, as I work there as a senior fitness instructor. And I am standing for international postgrad officer. As you can see from my accent, it's sometimes people, they say you have lovely accent, sometimes it's weird, sometimes poke their interest to know more, which is, I use this as a privilege to create easy dialogue with anybody from all around the world.
Thank you. And finally, Oishi.
First of all, thank you so much for pronouncing my name correct. It feels great to hear the pronunciation correct after so long. Hi everyone, I'm Oishi, and I know I have a very difficult pronunciation, so if you mess up my name, it's really fine. All my life I have corrected people my pronunciation, so that's unique about me. I'm currently studying Masters in International Journalism. I'm a postgraduate international student hailing from India, and people who know me or who don't know me think that I'm really shy and introvert, and yes, I am. By that I mean that I do really well in formal setting like this, but I just mess up in informal settings. So I just thought that, I should put myself forward and come out of my comfort zone and, be loud enough to help the international postgraduate student community. So yeah.
Thank you so much. You're all very exciting candidates. I think we have a great year ahead, whoever gets involved. So the first question for you is, what measures would you implement to ensure the appropriate amount of pastoral support is given to international and postgraduate students who may feel disconnected from the wider university community?
I think one of the main things that even I faced when I first came here was difficulty in making friends, because I've come back to studying after nearly 3 or 4 years. So the first thing that I think would work is just have an implemented or a society as such where you can just walk in and just speak your heart out, like a support group, basically, which is not essentially having therapists or counselors tell you how to do it and how to not do it, because there are quite a few students who go through the same thing. Secondly, there could also be just having older students or having students have lived here to come and just share their experiences to make you feel comfortable and just ease you into the process and not make you feel very overwhelmed. Thank you.
Thank you. Over to you.
As a counselor said, it's most difficult when we first come here because we don't have many good friends, we don't have many good connections, and the worst thing is we don't know where to shop things from. Because I'm from India, I love spices, and it was very hard for me to find spices here. So one thing that I would like to implement is making sure that all these students know a list of places to go to, places to find people at the buddy scheme is an amazing scheme the university offers. So that is one thing that I would like to work more on. And there's small programs the university offers which can include more international students and as well as local students. So yeah.
Perfect, thank you. And Ali?
For me, as a recent international person here at the UK, I felt that there are a lot of stages that need to be fulfilled in terms of living in the UK. Students often they feel a homesickness syndrome. Then to put them at ease, important thing is that to listen to them, because listening to can ease a lot of problem. Because I believe University of Leeds campus does not have any lack of services. Just we need to do more awareness, accessibility, to raise all the concerns with the right people, department, and to follow up to then find an easy solution for everything.
Perfect, thank you. And finally, Oishi?
I have kind of suggestions for this. First is that there should be a particular point of contact between the university and the student community, which I mean especially the international postgrad community. The point of contact can be a personal tutor who will help the student community navigate through the university resources, provide them academic pastoral support, and help them navigate to the local culture and everything. Basically act like a connection between the university and the student community, and they should ensure that there is enough accessibility. So for example, I was speaking with a lot of in the audience and my friends, and a lot of people has to say that the information is available but it's scattered. So for example, the university website Minerva, the university website Minerva is a vast website, but people don't know how to navigate through them. So information on that would really help, as basic as a small YouTube video how to navigate through it will really help.
Thank you very much. So the second question we have for you is, strike action may affect international and postgraduate students differently and potentially worse than other students. What measures would you put in place to ensure these students have academic and well-being support?
As someone who's not entirely been affected by strike action, I do empathize with students who are, because some of my friends and flatmates have been affected by strike action. The first thing in terms of academic support, I think it would be to kind of reach out to PGRs and PGTAs in terms of just helping out with understanding basic concepts, understanding basic information that could just be like a buddy system without the idea of social network. It's just purely academic and stuff like that. In terms of well-being support, there is already a lot that the union and the university is offering. However, it's basically just opening doors and allowing people and students to just come in and signposting them wherever necessary.
Lovely, thank you. And over to you, Rimsha.
Thank you. Personally, regular checkups is one of the most important things that I feel that we should look for, because every student is feeling differently. Every student is getting impacted by this differently. So a regular checkup mail, a form or forums could be a great help. Secondly, in terms of academic online lectures and other learning opportunities can be provided. And thirdly, as a university already offers mental health support, but most students don't know how to access it properly. So awareness on that is a great thing to do. Yep. Thank you.
Lovely. And Ali?
Actually, whilst I appreciate the strikes action happening, because I am employed by University of Leeds and there are a lot of price crisis, I consider that international students are not involved because they come here to study and live. Therefore, they consider a risk twinge. If we can't change this situation due to good reason, happening for a good reason, we can manage. We have student counseling, we have a lifestyle wellbeing program, And we have a lot of online support through libraries. And then if we link all those together in the meantime, especially in the time of the crisis, it will be a good idea.
Perfect. Thank you. And finally, Oishi.
First of all, I would say is that what initially Beth and Aaron said, that we should be mindful enough why the strikes are happening, and we should be supportive as well. Keeping that in mind, there's something called the other community, which is the student community, and we should be mindful about their needs as well. So, for example, the university should come up something like virtual study options or alternative study options, which can be virtual study hours, virtual office hours, pre-recorded lectures, or virtual study groups, and online courses or self-directed study materials. And I also feel there should be extension on assignment deadlines and very flexible attendance policies, because there are a lot of students who are affected by the strikes and they can't reach the university. So yeah.
Perfect. And the final question for you all tonight is, in what way do you plan to hear the thoughts and opinions of international and postgraduate students? This could be forums, emails, face-to-face. And how would you ensure that the support can be given quickly and effectively?
And as a member of ISAP, that is catering to both international and postgraduate students, what I tend to do is just have drop-in sessions which allow course reps or other students to come in and have a chat with me if they want, raise concerns, just probably help them signpost to different areas wherever help is needed. So I think that works really well. In addition, I realized that just walking around campus and having a chat with people and being like, hey, do you want to talk about something? Or just have like a one-two question where I ask them and hear their views on it is kind of really helpful in that way. And how do you ensure this is a very difficult thing, because we are a campus of 39,000 students. So ensuring that is a little difficult, but it's not impossible. And I would just probably reach out, because there is hierarchy, school reps, course reps, there are well-being institutes available. So I would just probably reach out to them. Thank you.
Remsha, over to you.
Thank you. Firstly, like a helpline link is something that I would like to implement, because everybody must not be going through the same thing, as I mentioned before. And if an emergency or any issue, a person should be able to reach me out if I'm elected, hopefully. And there should be focus groups which can help all these students talk about their feelings and their issues in an open area, open and safe area. And again, I will be implementing these online meetings, one-to-one meetings, which will ensure for me to present myself and for me to hear all their views and thoughts. Yeah, thank you.
Ali?
If I have been elected to be an international postgrad officer, of course, it will be a full-time job. All the students, they are welcome to contact me by any means, either by face-to-face or sending me email or social media. But I can promise also to run a lot of survey to shape some plans for most common things they face, and to shape a solution based on that. And then for any major or non-major issues, it will be raised with a specific person or department or offices, and will be followed up and until a satisfactory outcomes is landing.
Wonderful. And finally, Oishi.
So regarding this question, I feel is that you don't have to be always going the new way. The traditional ways work a lot at times. So for example, as traditional as organizing, in-person town hall meetings can really help. You can call in experts, the university staff, the faculty, and give the audience, which will maybe mostly the international postgrad students, and give the audience the platform to speak out their top issues, concerns, whatever topics they want to discuss. And another thing can be the new way, which is the using social media. Social media has great outreach to the student community. So there's a lot of new features in the social media. For example, Instagram has this thing of suggestions, polls. Twitter has hashtags. Make use of that. Try to reach a great proportion of students. And, 15 small things like, using suggestion box. Those are really nice and cute things. You can really make use of those suggestion box where people can, students can drop in their suggestions and everything. So yeah.
Perfect. Thank you all so much for your answers this evening. You now can all give a closing statement, 30 seconds each. Go ahead, starting with Aganksha.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. And yeah, I think as someone who's gone through the idea of being an international and a postgraduate student from another country, it can be daunting. And essentially just kind
15
of,
seconds.
we can do this together. So I've got your back. And if you have mine, it'll be great. Thank you.
And Rimsha?
Thank you. Again, I would like to thank you so much for this opportunity. It was great meeting all these people, all these trainings, and it will be amazing if I get elected because I'm looking forward for those trainings as well. And apart from that, it was great. The whole experience was amazing, and that's about it. My slogan was Bollywood to Brexit, Rimsha Khan. So that's about it. Have a nice day. Thank you.
Ali.
I would like to thank you all for this opportunity to enable us to speak what we are thinking about international postgrad students and whoever will win. I would like to see the day where people they feel home when in the University of Leeds campus.
Thank you. And finally, Oishi.
Yeah. Thank you so much for giving me the platform to speak rather than me shying away and being reserved like before. I would say a very different thing in case of mine. I know expecting the list, I'm expecting I'll get only 10 votes. So that's how I face rejection. So yeah. And the other thing is that if you have any questions regarding my campaign, reach out to me on my socials. It's on my candidate poster. And bonus thing, I can speak in 3 languages, English, Hindi, and Bengali. So you can choose from which language you can speak. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you all so much. We will now be having a short break, and the following debate will be Activities and Opportunities Officer. Thank you.
LUU Hustings. I'm Will from LSTV and LSR, and this is the Activities and Opportunities Officer debate. First off, we're going to start with the opening statement. So we'll start off with Ella.
Hi guys, I'm Ella, but most people probably know me as Ella for Activities. I'm the current Activities and Opportunities Officer here at LUU. During my time as a student, I studied biological sciences and went to far too many fruities than I care to count. And I'm here just to show you all and prove to you all that I absolutely love my job, and I'd love to be re-elected.
Ime.
Hi, I'm Ime. I'm a first-year student in Leeds. And I was a student in some top art school, just like the CAFA, the Central Academy of Fine Arts. And my high school is in America, is Interlock. And about me, I win 17 times of the Big Art Award. And I was studying ceramics in National Award, the Golden Award, and most watercolors too. And what's more is installation art, and I win the digital arts and poster design in a national award in M13. And what's more is how to say? So I quite trust
You
my.
have 10 seconds left.
Yeah. Okay. I have a lot of experience on working with art.
Nice. And Abhijit?
Hello, everyone. I'm Abhijit this side. I'm a current master's student at University of Leeds, doing my master's in LUBs. I'm actually previously appointed as an activity team leader in my home country with my university back, and worked with activity and various kind of cultural events. Also, I'm an professional experience, having a 3 years experience in various industries. And now I'm here, looking forward to be a activity and opportunity officer. Thank you.
Nice. Okay, some great opening statements there. So we've got 3 questions to ask. We're going to start with, which of your policies would directly affect and improve student experiences at Leeds? We'll start with Ella there.
So I think and I hope all of my policies would directly affect and impact students at Leeds. But one that's a really big one for me is a value of the extracurricular campaign. It's something I've been working really hard on this year, and something that I'm really hoping to continue next year. Essentially, I'm really hoping to embed extracurricular across the entire curriculum and really impress this into the university, and essentially make them see the value that extracurricular brings to our students. Another thing, perhaps an easier fix, is to sort of revise how we look at funding and really give support to student groups and student leaders when they're applying for funding. I look at these applications at the moment, and there's so many great things that we want to fund, but perhaps the application just isn't written quite right. So that's something that I'd really like to change.
Nice. Ime?
For me, I want to help the design major student to finding more ways of their to like them during exhibition or something, because I was working as an HR before. So what they asking for a design student for is how many exhibitions or design poster they have joined to. But in here, they seldom have a chance for showing themselves. So I want them to bring to, how to say, help them club societies here for design poster or logos in free, and I will help them to set up their personal exhibitions. I want to give them more chance in this school, have to achieve the professional level in the artist.
Nice. And then Abhijit?
Well, I believe that the policies related to professional and personal development for any kind of students is very nice. So I will try to implement that. Moreover, I agree with Ella as well that financial support for various societies is a better opportunity for them as well to grow and to become better.
Perfect. Thank you for those answers. The next question is, communication is important between societies, the union, and external bodies such as BUCS, NASTA, SRA, and UGS. How would you improve this?
So this year I've been really lucky to make some really personal connections with loads of our student groups beyond the realm of sport, which is where I mostly interacted when I was a student. I've also managed to make really good links with lots of external bodies. So BUCS, for example, going to their regional conferences, and UJS, that's attending their seminars and really learning from the things that they say and bringing that back to our campus. obviously we have over 360 clubs and societies here at LUU, so it's impossible for me to get to know, or the activities officer to get to know every single one of those external bodies. So the important thing there is really to empower our student leaders to make meaningful connections with them and know how to connect with them and communicate them and get the most out of them. And more so than just the day-to-day things, but also a lot of these organizations have loads of
You got
good,
10 seconds.
good developmental development experiences and stuff such as networking, which is always there to tap into.
Okay, great. And Ime?
For me, the communication part is the thing I need to improve because, how to say, I always thinking the art is the way for break the block with language. So I've been using some like art sculptures or something to make them to know what I means. And if they can have any question, I think they can free to talk to me. I will try my best to understanding. Have a lot of experience before for lead something and in touch with my how to say my boss or my employees. So I trust them. I can improve this part by training.
And perfect. And Abhijit?
Well, I believe communication is the most important channel that we need to know, and including the communication channel and standardizing it with other societies is a great benefit for all of us. Apart from that, inclusivity between societies is very necessary. So I think joint events can be held to make communication grow better. And apart from that, I believe that various kind of intercultural events can also help.
Perfect. And then the question from the activities exec, they aren't here, but I'm going to read out anyway, is the membership levy caused some controversy this year. What would you like to use these funds for?
So obviously the £5 membership levy has been really difficult for some students, particularly our political and campaigning groups and our volunteering groups. It's been a real barrier for allowing people to engage because a lot of people don't want to have to pay to go out and do a genuinely good thing for the benefit of others. I think the use of these funds should be a student-led decision. So that would be probably something that we would engage with the activities exec to decide. So these are our reps that represent all of our clubs and societies, and hopefully they would be able to come to a decision led by the activities officer onto what those funds should go towards. I think it would be great to create a fund that could be to sort of better our LUU community and help out societies in times of financial hardship.
Okay, great. And Ime?
For me, I want to build a new cycle for the finance. It's just like there are a lot of art students or a lot of students else. They're complaining about they want to sell their artwork. So I want to build a place and let them sell their artworks to who want to buy it. Or I can design for souvenirs for them to sell during any exhibitions. And it can add to Leeds souvenir shop. So I want to build the finance cycle for this. So, and if it's returned, I think I can use this for now for build more activities for them. And I think they want to take a part in about this part because they are already there want to try to using these ways for their pronunciating.
Great. And then Abhijit?
Well, I believe that getting funds can be used in various kind of things. But the first important thing is to help with socially disabled societies which are not able to socially engage with people. So we can create a channel for them. They can actually engage with socially with other people as well to increase their growth in societies. And also to make university better, LUU, we can make the voice heard by the students and create those events most popular.
Okay, some great answers. And just to finish off, you each have a chance to have a closing statement. So we'll start with Ella.
I just wanted to say thank you all so much for listening today. Hopefully I've convinced you that this job is something that I am truly passionate about and I'd absolutely love to have the opportunity to do it again. My Instagram is Ella for Activities and you should stand under my umbrella.
Ime, so we close the statement.
Okay, so for me, thank you guys listen to me because I know probably you're not interested with art, but I will show how important it is to change. But why I standing out? I'm a really shy person because how to say, Leeds gave a lot of advertisement with art students in different art schools in the whole Asia. So there are a lot of going there. I don't want to break their dream for become a real artist.
Okay, and Abhijit?
Well, I believe that all of the candidates are very good, and whoever wins is the best. I just want to say that it's your vision, your officer, and your Abhijit.
Okay, great. Thank you to all the candidates. We will now be having a short break, followed by an interview with the current Union Affairs Officer.
Hello and welcome back to the LSTV office, and here I am joined by the Union Affairs and Communications Officer Maria. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
It's lovely to have you here this evening.
It's lovely to be here.
Now, just to kick-start us off, could you give us a brief overview of your role here on LUU Exec, and whilst highlighting some of your key responsibilities within the union?
Yes, of course. So I'm the Union Affairs and Communications Officer, which means that the Union Affairs part of my role has to do with governance. I chair the Board of Trustees. I chair the Finance Subcommittee, which means I also approve some of the finances, some POs that come in the union. And I'm also the officer responsible for upholding sustainable values. So dealing with sustainability, climate week, all that fun stuff. And the communications role, it's kind of open to interpretation, but I'm working very closely with the communications team here at LUU, working on statements, and yeah.
That's brilliant. So obviously you've just highlighted some of your key responsibilities whilst being on LUU exec. Now, if you could pinpoint, I know it might be very, very difficult, but what would you say is your biggest achievement this year?
I would say that's a difficult question because many things haven't been fully completed yet. I would say the biggest achievement was reaching consensus in the exec to support the strikes. That's something that was a big part of my campaign when I was running, and there were many difficulties because there were so many stakeholders involved. There was the university on one side, there were very supportive students on the other side, there were students who were neutral, and students who were really angry about their disruption. So
that's brilliant. So as you've mentioned, the union is such a big part. Why do you think LUU is such a big part, and why it should be such a big part for many students in their life at university?
I think because it combines all this great stuff. So there are so many societies. There's definitely a society for everyone. There's so much work being done through Liberate LUU to involve all students, and particularly students from our 7 liberation groupings. There's democracy work, so it really gives students the opportunity to shape their life experience in the union. So, yeah.
So what's been your best moment of being on LUU exec this year? I can imagine you've got a lot of highlights from the past year, but what's been your best part
of being LUU exec? I'll need a second to think about that. I would say the first time meeting the university exec group. It was, in general, all the first days in the role we had some fancy dinners, we had, everyone wanted to meet us, so it was nice to get that level of attention, and yeah.
Can you sum up the year in one word for me?
That's hard. Complicated.
I can imagine with everything that's been going on, there's been a lot to deal with. Yeah, I completely get that. So obviously we've got many candidates this evening at the Hustings. What would be the one piece of advice that you could give them?
I think it's important to understand the level of responsibility that comes with this role, to remember that while they're in this role, they're not just students, they are executive members of the group, especially in the Union Affairs and Communications officer role, which has the responsibility of chairing the board. Not to forget that, and yeah.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much for your time this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. So back to you in Pyramid. Beautiful. We're off.
Hi, I'm Georgia from Leeds Student Television, and we're on to our final debate of the night, which is for Union Affairs and Communications Officer. So let's start with everyone's opening statements. Alice, would you like to go first?
So hi, I'm Alice. I'm a third year history and sociology student. I work in LUU as a supervisor at Common Ground, and I just really love Leeds and I don't want to leave, and I love the union as well. So I want to listen to students and I want to make the union work for you. So my policies reflect the current student situation, student concerns. So I want increased opportunities, cost of living support and better spaces. So a vote for me is a vote to get your voice heard, and bet on Benton for union affairs.
Perfect, thank you. And then on to Emily.
It's working? Cool. Hi, I'm Emily. I'm the current Wellbeing Officer, so some of you might know me already. I'm also a master's student completing my degree in International Communication. Wrote my dissertation on student unions because I'm a massive nerd. And outside of that, I also really enjoyed modern dance and ballet. And I also used to work in cafes at the union as well, so I really haven't left. In my role this year, I've been so lucky to meet so many different students, staff, and people from outside the university as well. And I honestly don't believe that there's anywhere more exciting to work than LUU, as cringy as it sounds. Having been the Wellbeing Officer this year, I've seen firsthand how important these issues are to our students. And I really think that we could be taking these right to the top of the university's agenda and putting student wellbeing and student welfare right at the top of the... So I'll wrap it up there.
Perfect, thank you. And now on to Jess.
Hi, I'm Jess. I'm a third year Sustainability and Environmental Management student. I'm running for Union Affairs and Comms because I believe the climate emergency is the biggest problem that is facing our generation. And I think it's something that's going to affect all of us as students. We need to act with urgency on it because the university, although they have their climate commitments, they are not on track to meet these alongside 59% of other universities. So I'm running to make sure climate considerations are at the forefront of decision-making in the university and the Students' Union.
Amazing, thank you. And on to Kevin.
Hi, I'm Kevin. I'm a second year Sustainability and Environmental Management student. I'm from Korea, the good one. And I do have a strong American accent. Some of you might feel cheesy or a little bit cringe, especially coming from me. I'm here to tell you why and how I should run the union and why I'm the suitable candidate for this position. After answering questions, you will feel why and how I am the one. Thank you.
Amazing. And finally on to Matthew.
Hi, I'm Matt. I'm a third year business management student and I'm running to be the next Union Affairs and Comms Officer. I'm currently the president of the Leeds University Business School Society, having previously served as the event sec. It's one of the largest academic societies in the university, and it's really given me a good insight to how the union works as a whole for students as well. I also work in the union as a bar supervisor in Fruity, so you might see me there, hopefully not. I have a great interaction with the union itself and working for them, and I know that there are certain things that we need to address, and that's why I want to run for the role. Thank you.
Amazing, wonderful opening statements, thank you. On to our first question, which is, what policy do you have that you feel will particularly improve life for students? So let's start with Alice.
So I've got a policy which is about increasing opportunities within the union. So I see work placements and internships being introduced within the different departments in LUU. It's been a great way to empower students and encourage personal and professional growth. So departments like activities and political engagement, they could offer these internships to encourage students to get more involved in the union. And it's just great for understanding what the union does for you, which is what my whole campaign is about. And I definitely would, if this was available to me when I was a student, when I'm a student, I definitely would have done this because I think working in departments like political engagement can give you a really great first-hand experience of working in the charity sector, which is so important considering how underfunded the charity sector is at the moment. It's just great to see what the union can do for you.
Perfect, thank you. And on to Emily.
I think right now it definitely has to be my policy around the cost of living and learning, and developing a meaningful long-term strategy with the university to address the affordability of being a student. Because as much as it's really important that we're responding to the current cost of living crisis and putting emergency interventions in place, the cost of attending the university has been an issue forever for a lot of our students and has disproportionately affected some groups more than others. So it's addressing those things that we've known have been issues for years, whether it's the cost of going to graduation and having that fulfilling end to your experience, the cost of books, placement, travel, just existing on campus day to day, whether that's having enough sanitary products to sustain you throughout the day, being able to afford food on campus, getting to and from campus. Now is the time for us to be addressing those while we're having these conversations and make sure those
15 seconds
interventions are still in place after inflation's gone down.
Perfect. And Jess?
As much as I'd like to try and argue that me addressing climate change issues as a Union Affairs and Comms officer will change your life overnight, I'm aware that kind of the institutional changes that I'd like to see are not those that you're going to see overnight. But it's not just institutional level change that I care about individual level change as well. And I think sustainability and the cost of living crisis can both be addressed in the same through the same ways. So a lot of the time sustainable options are cheaper. So for example, the Green Action Food Co-op that's in the union, it's an amazing asset to the union. A lot of students don't know about it or they don't choose to use it. And I think that's a great example of a way that we can address sustainability and affordability for students in one go. So promoting that and other sustainable options is definitely something that I want to improve. And I also want to support students who want to make improvements to their own lives by supporting them through the democratic processes in the Students' Union.
Great, thank you. And Kevin?
My main policy would be bring back online lecture, like live lectures. For first year students who are watching, it would be kind of sad for them not to experience this program where you get to watch your lecture, listen to your lecture on the bed. Well, we already know that it works. And there was a technical errors during the COVID time, but I'm pretty sure that is manageable. When you're dealing with your personal issues or you're ill and you can't go to university, but you won't be able to access lectures. So one day you wake up, you're ill. You just can't go to university, but you need to listen to lectures. All you got to do is open your laptop, listen to lectures simultaneously with the classmates who are actually listening in person. Thank you.
Great. Matt?
So one of my main policies is about employability and internships and graduate programs for a lot of the students, because at the end of the day, students come here not only to have world experiences and life experiences, it's about employability and getting a job at the end of the day. And the union especially has a role in playing that as long as the university. And we can start by bringing in more internships and helping out the careers officers in all the different schools in the university. And it's also about building our alumni network. The union should be proud of how many students have passed through here, and that we should be able to build on it and have these people to come back and to talk to our students as well. Cheers.
Amazing answers, everyone. Thank you. I believe we're now going to an audience question from Ryan, who is the political and campaigning rep.
So recently, the NUS has received a lot of criticism from various student groups, with many student unions now disaffiliating or considering disaffiliation. What are your thoughts on the National Union of Students, and do you think that LUU should disaffiliate?
So just to repeat that there, recently the NUS has received lots of criticism from various student groups, with many student unions now disaffiliating or considering disaffiliation. What are your thoughts on the National Union of Students, and do you think LUU should disaffiliate? Let's start with Alice.
So I understand this is a really pressing issue at the moment, and membership, if we stay members, it's a choice made by the students, and it's their democratic right to vote on this. As an exec member, I want to be led by that student mandate. So if there is a call for a referendum, I would make sure this happens and stand by this outcome. I think the whole through this whole process, you've got to think about students first and it being a student-led decision. The NUS has a lot of flaws, but and a lot of positives as well. So it's good that we need to be a student-led decision through the whole process, and whatever the outcome is, I will stand by that as a member of our exec.
Amazing, thank you. And Emily?
Yeah, I think to echo a similar sort of sentiment, that if the decision to disaffiliate comes, it has to come from the students that are most affected by this. I think the most important thing that we can do within LUU is to listen with empathy to the students that do feel really strongly about this and have been really impacted by things that have occurred within NUS, whether that comes through a campus-wide referendum so we can put it to the student body, or creating forums for this to be discussed in a safe space. Ultimately, everything that we do has to be student-led.
Amazing. And Jess?
Yeah, similar sentiment. I think it's important we take this really seriously because the anti-Semitism that was found within the NUS was really severe, and this is quite a sensitive subject. So the NUS, following this report, has committed to anti-Semitism, has committed to tackling anti-Semitism and laid out steps in which they will do this. It's great that they've laid out steps, but I think it's important that we wait and see if they will actually address these issues in the way they have outlined. And I think it's for students, particularly those students affected by this, to decide whether the NUS is doing enough. And I agree that we should put it to a student referendum to decide.
Amazing. And Kevin?
Actually, as a racial minority living in UK, I have to deal with prejudice and stereotypes. But so I can kind of relate to these issues. But I do not think we should disaffiliate, because we need to be collective as one and to teach them, educate them that it is wrong, and still criticize and still come up with reforming systems. And by doing that, we should put it to a vote to university students whether we should disaffiliate or not. But the main point is we still have to be collective and educate people and to bring up new policies to stop racism, anti-Semitism, or gender equality, any other issues, discrimination. Thank you.
Great. Matt?
So yeah, exactly the same as the other four candidates, really. It has to be a student-led decision. It wouldn't be able to be a decision made by the student exec alone. But also we need to make sure that it'll be behind the referendum, if there was, to be like education, 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 because everyone has to make an informed decision. And especially with the new report for the NUS coming out on how deep and high the anti-Semitism went, there needs to be a real look at not even just the NUS, but also the union as well, and looking at how we can tackle these problems as well.
Amazing answers again, everyone. Thank you. We're now going to our last question, which is again from the audience, and it's from Abby, who is a part of HOMED.
Yeah, hi. How will you ensure LUU commits to its charitable status as primarily an organisation for and by students in the coming year?
Thank you. So just to repeat that for you guys, how will you ensure LUU commits to its charitable status as primarily an organisation for and by students in the coming year? So again, let's start with Alice.
So I think we need to just remember that basically the union is a charity, and charity law states that trustees have to act in the best interest of its members. So we need to remember that as exec members, we need to listen to students' voices and interacting with students. I feel like getting a good ground base and like going out and talking to students and seeing what their opinions are and what we can do to create a better union is key. And the exec are uniquely placed for this because they will have probably just graduated or in the middle of their degree, and they know what students want and they can go out and find out what students want. And also working with external organisations, so like the pet therapy that comes in, it's from external organisations, to make sure that we are promoting these external organisations that offer different things for different people.
15 seconds.
And just making sure that the union is remaining for and by students.
Amazing. And Emily?
So I've said from day one of being in this job that there's no point in me being here and there's no point in the exec if we're not doing the things that students really care about. So I think continuing to create opportunities for students, not just to put forward new ideas, but to give us feedback on what we're already doing right, but also what we're doing wrong. Because ultimately, as a charity, all of the money that we earn goes back into students. So if we're not putting the money in the right place, then that's not what we should be doing. So encouraging that feedback and ensuring that whatever we're doing matches the needs of our students right now.
Great. And Jess?
Yeah, so making sure that, ensuring students are centred firstly in all decisions that are made. I want to improve channels of communication from the student level all the way up to the university executive level, whether this means through the student exec or also bringing students who care about change into those meetings with the university executive level, because I think we really need to make sure student voices are represented, especially those voices that are underrepresented on issues that are generally underrepresented as well. So bringing students into meetings, I'd also be happy to meet with students during lunches or any other time to hear the issues that really are affecting students. I also want to make sure the Students' Union doesn't compromise on representing students effectively and the issues that are affecting students.
Amazing. And Kevin?
I actually believe the union actually doing a great job already. Last November, university has launched 1.5 million pounds to help students with cost of livings. One individual could get subsidized up to 4.5K per person. But the problem is that it is not promoted well. I ask my friends, but they don't know about it. They ask me how do I apply for it? But the problem is, so it's about allocating resources to the right place. So I believe putting it to allocating resources to the right position and promoting it well can actually facilitate what we're doing for the charity purposes. And thank you.
Great. And finally, Matt.
So yeah, I think we need to just focus on the main reason for our union, which is our members and our students here, and making sure that every decision is made with them in mind, and whether that is our new redesign of terraced upstairs, which creates a nicer area for us, and that is a well expenditure of money. But we do need to look at how much money we are spending, because there's only a finite amount, and we can't just spend it on whatever we want. And it's making sure that that expenditure is making our students' lives better and making their time at Leeds better as well.
Amazing answers again. Thank you. We're now going to do closing statements, which you have 30 seconds for each. So again, we'll start with Alice.
So I just want to say thank you for this evening. It's been really great. And I would say that the union and the exec is a reflection of you and the change that you want to see. I'm committed to representing and listening to your voice. I want to get your voice heard in the union. So vote for me, bet on Benton for union affairs, and vote for someone who wants to make LUU work for you.
Perfect. And Emily?
I've been so grateful for the opportunity to represent our students this year as wellbeing officer, but I'm not going to pretend that I'm an expert on any of it. But we do have students that are an expert in the courses that they really care about. And as union affairs officer, I'd really like to try and create space for those students to have a platform to be part of those high level decision making at all points in the university's
10
processes. So yeah, sorry, it's a lot of pressure when they say 10 seconds. Please vote for me to include you in everything that we do at LUU and make sure it's a place.
Sorry, got to
you
cut
can
you
call
off
home.
there. Apologies. And then Jess?
Yeah, so for me, a big part of the union affairs and comms part of the role is sustainability. And I feel like we can't ignore that. It's something that should be addressed on this panel. It should be something that's addressed by us as candidates, because it's something that's going to affect all of our futures. I want to stand up for students and represent their needs and also their futures to protect the Leeds we love. So say yes to Jess.
Perfect. And Kevin?
I just want to keep it simple. Our union should be very transparent and available to students. I believe together we'll have better experience and good time at Leeds. Thank you. My name is Kevin.
Great. And then finally, Matt.
First, I'd just like to say thank you to the union and LSTV for putting this on tonight. I'm a fellow 4 candidates. I think you should vote for me because I've had such experience with the union, and I think I can bring new and fresh ideas to it as well. Cheers.
Amazing. Thank you everyone for all of your answers. We're now going to go to a holding screen before we come back and let you know how to vote. So tonight you've been watching the Hustings for LeadLUU 2023 on LSTV and LSR. George, have you enjoyed tonight? Yes, I'm so pleased. Would you like to know how to vote? Yes, you'd love to know. Everyone would love to know. So you can start voting next Monday through Engage, where you can have your say on who you want to lead the union over the next year. So that is all for tonight. Thank you for tuning in. Can we have a clap? Amazing. I hope you've enjoyed hearing from all of our candidates, and thank you for watching.